मसाले तो बहुत हैं, पर प्रकृति की गोद से खास चुने मसाले जिनकी ताजगी, खुशबू और स्वाद रहे बरकरार, ऐसे उम्दा मसाले बनाते हैं सिर्फ कैच। कैच का कोई मैच नहीं, 100%।
If there is anything you can do to enhance a child's imagination, it is through books and storytelling. In the upcoming session, we have renowned author, entrepreneur, and a master storyteller, Sudha Murty, who has not only intrigued children with a bag of stories, but has also mesmerized everyone with her storytelling. In conversation, we have with her poet Shobha Tharoor, also celebrated for her wonderful works of children's literature.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Times Literary Festival 2021. I'm delighted to introduce a very special someone to you. Though, of course, Mrs. Sudha Murty does not really need an introduction at a literary festival. Her long list of published books written both in English and in her mother tongue Kannada dot bookshelves and libraries and are part of every home in India. Many of you already know her name, have seen her warm, familiar smile, and now, even on Zoom, you can see the twinkle in her eyes. But perhaps some of you don't know that Sudha Murty is much more than a prolific, celebrated author. She's been a teacher of engineering, has the distinction of being the first female engineer to be hired at Telco, which was India's largest automobile manufacturer. She's the chairperson of the Infosys Foundation, and very importantly, she's a passionate advocate for the preservation of India's classical heritage. Sudha Murty has also been a tireless social worker for many decades, addressing inequities, inspiring others, and affecting change. In addition to the many gold medals and honorary degrees for her academic excellence, Sudha Murty is the recipient of the nation's Padma Shri Award for Civic Engagement, the R.K. Narayan Award for Excellence in Literature, and the Lifetime Achievement Award from the prestigious Crossword Raymond Book Awards. Sudha Murty is also a cherished mother and a grandmother. I am so very pleased and honored to share a platform with Mrs. Sudha Murty.
Namaste.
Mrs. Murty, I have some questions I want to ask, and I know that the audience is really looking forward to hearing from you. So shall we get straight to it?
Okay.
So I have some questions for you. One question I had was, in the book, How I Taught My Grandmother to Read, there's a suggestion that learning can happen at every age. And I really like that concept. I know that your books fly off the shelves. They're always consistent bestsellers. But what's particular about them that they are appealing to readers of all ages. What do you see as the magic of your storytelling that cuts across generations?
Probably readers can reply that better because they read different books and then they know which book is better. But I know one thing. I write in a very simple way with a small vocabulary, and most Indians have that kind of English knowledge. Because when you look at the English knowledge curve, there are a few people like your brother who are excellent and but extreme, and very few people are in that line, or if a bell-shaped curve, and some people are on the other side of that. But majority of Indians who study in their mother tongue, or who are brought up with their mother tongue, may like to have a simple English conversation, and they are the most of the people who read my books. And that's the reason I think they like my book, because it is simple and it is relatable. For example, everybody will have experiences, and some people note it down, some people don't. Whereas I note down and pen down everything. It is not that only my life has all these experiences. Everybody will have experiences, but I pen down in a very simple way, which is probably the secret of the success of my books, I suppose. This is my my way of expressing it. May be highly biased, I do not know, because every mother feels her children are bright and beautiful. Every writer feels her books are very good. Okay.
Well, that's definitely, I understand. Simple, to the point, stories that resonate with everyone. That's wonderful. But, you know, and I'll come back to the idea of all ages, because I know you've written both sort of young adult books, you've written children's books, but I'm going to get back to that in a minute. There was a particular line that's attributed to you in which you said that you should not be so sensitive. Sensitive people suffer a lot in life. Now, I know that your stories are very honest, they're heartfelt, they resonate with every reader, and I'm certain that they are penned with sensitivity. So how do you manage to be that effective writer that you can still protect your emotional self? Do you suffer with every book you write? Does it affect your day-to-day?
It's a very good question, actually. How much sensitive we should be and how much we should not is very difficult balance. For example, if you are not sensitive, then you can't write. It's a matter of fact. Okay, someone, you see a dog, okay, you see a dog, you see a flower, you see an old man, you know, then they're just like that you can feel. But if you are sensitive, then you feel what a dog can think. You look at flower, how beautifully it blooms. You will see an old man, then you think of their difficulties. Sensitivity is the essential core of a writer, and is essential quality of compassion, and which is nothing but foundation work. So one has to be sensitive. Now, how much one has to be sensitive depends on individual, because if you are extremely sensitive, like somebody talks about you some negative things, then you are perturbed so much that you can't even function. That sensitivity I don't like to have, because I have learned over a period of time, if people talk anything about me negative, it doesn't affect me. That thick, thick skin I have developed. People do talk. People have not stopped talking about others. You look at our own conversation, 80% of the time we talk about others only. At least Indian politics or Indian cricket. How much time we talk about ourselves? Very little. So people do talk about you. And when you are in limelight, people like to talk about you, either plus or minus. Just don't worry. That insensitivity, not 100%, to great extent, I have learned over a period of time. But still my love for sensitivity, for my love for understanding human nature, that sensitivity I have retained so that I'll be able to write.
Fair enough. Do you read reviews of your writing? Does it, clearly you've said it doesn't really affect you.
Yeah, I read, but I don't worry. If they write good, I don't bother. If they write bad also, I said, okay, that's the way they look at it. I have enjoyed writing. Writing is my expression of my emotions. So when the book is ready, I'm very happy. Again, when I write a novel, it affects me. Then I write kids' stories or young adult stories, it doesn't affect me. Writing a novel takes 2 to 3 years. So I understand the character, I go with them. That takes a little bit of toll, not too much. But whereas writing for children and young adult, they're happy ending, normally teaching something, which always makes me extremely happy when I complete it.
That's wonderful. I had a chance to read your most recent children's book, How the Earth Got Its Beauty, which is, it's beautiful. It's deceptively simple in its storyline, and yet it addresses so many important subjects, like avarice, overconsumption, which is the heart of global warming today. Do you use outlines? Do you plan your stories in advance? This particular story, do you think, did it come to you because of all the troubles we're seeing in the world today?
Actually, that book has many layers in a way. It looks simple, but it has many layers.
Exactly, yes, I agree.
Actually, I will tell you, I was thinking about COVID, why COVID happened, how much we abuse nature. Then what is that which makes a person unhappy? It's a greed.
Right.
So all these were in my mind. And when Penguin asked me to write a chapter book or a single story, then I said, why can't I write on that? And the moment I thought about it, the story came on its own. I took probably a day for that story to write. That's all.
My gosh, that's amazing. That's wonderful. In fact, that was my question. How long does it usually take you to complete a book? Is it something that
It
happens
depends.
very
It
quickly? Or,
depends. It
okay.
depends. For example, House of Cards, the novel which I wrote, um, I started writing. I thought about the concept, and I saw I could write only a few pages. Then I could not write at all. Then I left it. Then I wrote many books. After 15 years, I picked up the line. For a novel, it is in my mind for 2 to 3 years, because you have to develop a character, develop the environment, and once it is completely done, I only pen down. It is not that I write and then I get my ideas. No, actually, it's other way. Your brother says he writes and he gets ideas. That is his way. For me, I complete the story in my mind and then I only become a scribe. Okay, I only pen down. So this is my way of writing. Whereas the real experiences of real life, like 3,000 Stitches, the day I stopped drinking milk, or Old Man and His God, or How to Beat Boys, all these are my real life experiences. That I think I can write 2 or 3 per day. Because in my mind, I have to just put it on the computer. That's all. So I don't even think much. Children's stories take little time, because I should be very careful what I write, what language I use, what should be the motive. And again, I don't want to give a sermon in a children's book. At the end of that, so children, you should be good. So children, you should be honest. What I want to tell them, I'll make it in the form of a story. So it takes probably a day or 1.5 days for me, one story.
And you were saying, I think when we just began the session, that you very often think, or was it something that you said in a recording with someone else? I can't remember, that you think often in Kannada and then write it in English. Is that something you're still doing? Because I know you've written 39 books or 40 books to your name, 22 of them in English. So do you feel equally comfortable now in both languages when you're writing?
See, initially, first 50 years of my life, I wrote only in Kannada. After my 50th birthday, I started writing in English. Wow. Okay, because I really believe, age no bar, learning age no bar, which I taught, and which I told my grandmother, or my grandmother told me. So, when I have to write a novel, I think in Kannada, because it's an emotion. And I'm a Kannada medium 10th class. That means I learned physics, chemistry, mathematics, everything in Kannada medium. Including a square, a plus b whole square is a square plus 2ab plus b square. This is all in Kannada I have learned. So when novel it comes, which are emotions, I still think in Kannada. But the rest now I have balanced. I write, I think in English and write in English.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, this is a line that is attributed to you, which is having good relationship and peace of mind is much more important than achievements, awards, degrees, or money. Yeah. And I like this line because I can imagine my mother saying precisely this to my brother every time he burns that midnight oil. How do you manage your writing and so many interests that you're involved in, as we said in the introduction, and still have time for these relationships? Do you have specific times in the day that you write and the rest of it is only for the family? How do you compartmentalize your many interests?
Actually, I don't write every day. It is like a boiling milk on a fire. When it starts boiling, then it comes out of the vessel, right? Similarly, the same way, it's thinking in my mind. The moment the story is ready, it pushes me to write. So it may push me 1 month, it may not push another month, it may push me after 6 months. I don't have any say when I start writing. If the story makes me to write. So when I write, then I really do not like to talk to people at that time, because my concentration is completely on writing, immersed in writing. I don't like to take telephone calls, etc. But I'm also chairperson of foundation. So early morning, around 5 o'clock, I get up and write up to 8 o'clock or something. By that time, I'm also exhausted in a way, ideas-wise. Then I go to my office. But everyone knows when I'm in office, I only do my work. I don't even chat much because I don't like to be disturbed. And still, I'll make 2 compartments. One is the writing, other one is the office. I can't leave that. When I finish that, come back home, then probably I'll start or whatever I read written in the morning, I will read that. Okay, is it okay? Fine. So it takes about For a novel like House of Cards, I took 45 days. That's the highest. Otherwise,
Right.
in 20, 22 days, I write a book at 4 hours or 5 hours a day. And it is only ready to eat kind because everything is ready. I have to just boil and put it inside.
Ready in your head. That's
Everything will be, including the conversation, including the scenes. Actually, this is my way of writing because every writer has a different approach. For example, if I'm writing a story, for example, how the earth got its beauty, the scenes come in front of me. The frame comes in front of my eyes, and I only describe the frame. Then the next frame comes. So frame by frame, I write actually, including the dress, what they are wearing, the house they are staying, what ornaments they are wearing, what color of sari they are wearing. Everything comes in front of me. And it is like a movie. One screen is over, the next screen comes. I go on describing the scenes. That's all I do. And why I do, I really do not know. And
so do you influence the illustrators? I mean, how the earth got its beauty is an illustrator.
Yeah, me and my very excellent editor, Shruti Khurana, we together, I have a very good editor. That's very important. For a good writer, you require an excellent editor. And where we have personal rapport. Okay. She is my friend's daughter. So I know her for the last 40 years. So it's very easy for me. I'll tell Beta, look, this is a story I have written. You go through that. Don't even talk to me. And let us meet after 2 days. And we will discuss about the following points. Number 1, the title of the story. I will have some title, she will have some title, but out of 10, 9 times we agree. Okay.
That's great.
That's great. And second thing is about the illustration. So I have some illustration in my mind, and she, because I see those illustrations in front of me, and she has something, and we discuss about that, including the color.
I see.
Okay. So I consider success of my book also depends upon my excellent editor, because she is young, energetic, and she understands what my heart is. And that helps me a lot, actually, in my work.
Wonderful. Do you feel, Mrs. Murty, that the writing and publishing space has changed much in these 2 decades that you've been writing? Do you
actually, I consider another way. I have changed in the last 20, 30 years. If you tell me the first novel I wrote in 1979, which was Gently Forced Bakula, in Kannada I wrote Atirikte. If you have to tell me to write it again today, I will write entirely a different way, because women have changed. Society has changed. Okay. 40 years is a big time. Okay. That is almost 42 years back I wrote my first novel. Second thing is, now I have a lot more advantage, because if I have any doubt, I can go to Wikipedia and check it. And I go to near perfection. In olden days, I never had, I don't know, I would search some books, because there is always a shortage of, shortage of information. Today, that is not true. Third one is, maybe over a period of time, I have a good publisher, so it has not affected me much. Okay. In my case, writing journey, I have evolved much more in the last 40 years, and have become better and better every year, where I know the story should be tight knit, how many characters I should use, I know how many words I can, when I write, I will know how many words it will be without even checking. Hardly I make 1% error. I say if it is 500 words, it could be either 490 or 510, not more than that. And when there is a book, children book I'm writing, I know it's between 25 to 30. I am always at 30 or 29 at 30. So I have become much better over a period of time. But as far as reader is concerned, I do not know, because my books sell well. So I really do not know how the market has changed. My sales of my book have not reduced at all. Though people don't read much, okay, but my sales have always increased. So I do not know.
You have a following in India, and people are excited to see what you have to say, which is
could be partially because of my foundation experiences, which are so amusing. You can't even imagine. And maybe over a period of time, people have liked my writing, I suppose. That has not affected me. But I really do not know how is the publishing now, How are the book sales now? I don't have any strategy to sell my books. People say you should have a strategy. Initially, I used to read books in many cities. In 2001, I think, or two, I read in many cities for my first English book. Now I don't even read. I don't even read. Because one is shortage of time. Second thing is, now I don't have to also worry about it.
Huh.
Uh,
That's wonderful. It's quite a
uh,
good place to be in when you're a
uh,
writer.
yeah.
But you don't feel you've had to change your style or your
No,
way of expressing or anything over
no,
the years
no,
as much?
no. Actually, it has confirmed over a period of time, this style people like it. Even though they don't like it, I can't write any other style.
Well,
That is
fair
my
enough.
way. Because I have developed this and I'm comfortable in this. If the books do not sell, it's okay. That's fine. But this is the only way I can write. And I'm honest to myself because see, you in 220-page book or 250-page book, you can have a lot of conversation and you can complete the book without much content. But I never do that. I always believe whosoever pays 150 to 200 rupees for my book, I should be honest to every rupee. I have to give some content so that they should be happy. If I do everything in a conversation mode, I can make 250-page book, but the reader will never get what he or she has paid. And that is unethical, dishonesty. So I'm very honest with them. Look, you have paid this money. What I give is my level best for this.
Wonderful. So, I mean, this is sort of a different way of asking the same question. What have you wished to impart to your readers over the years? Is it education? Is it information? Is it just the same connection that people have with each other? I know that a lot of your stories, as you said, it's simple stories that are familiar to people, as you said. People see themselves in their stories, in the stories you've written. What is there a message you wish to impart? Is it a particular wisdom? Do you think in that way when you are sharing your stories?
Yeah, I will tell you. Actually, last time I didn't answer your question. How much time I spent on relations?
Right.
I know relations are fragile. In general, relations are fragile. You have to work for it if you want to keep it right way. The best way to keep good relation is, of course, your communication. Second thing is forgiveness. If your own close friends, your own close family friends, or your own relatives may talk sometimes which you may not like it that way, but you should always forgive because we are all human beings, we make errors. If you have a large heart to forgive, then you can keep good relation. And you have to spend time on that. You have to share with people with whom you share your difficulties and joys. You can have a better relationship. And forgiveness is the mula mantra, the original mantra of good relationship. You should never carry on. You talked yesterday like that, day before yesterday like that, so tit for tat, it will spoil all relation. Assuming that I might have done without knowingly, unintentionally. So just forget it and move on, and it's okay. It's okay. Because there are 100 ways to cut the relationship. They're so fragile. There's only one way you can maintain it by love, affection, and with communication. That I have done. Whomsoever with whom I want to keep a relationship, I always done using these three mantras. Coming to the message portion, yes, when it comes to children's book, I always want children should be later when they grow up, they should be honest and hardworking. Okay. So if you give a sermon, it becomes like one of those philosophy classes, moral science classes, children will not even read. Okay.
Right.
So the best way to tell them, look, somebody was honest and hardworking and he was benefited in life. If I do that, it remains. Because when I was a child, what is in my mind, what I have read, is even now it is true. Because the children mind is, I always tell them, it is like a wet wall. What you etch on that will remain with them. So these are some good values I want to tell them. And if you tell in the form of stories, it will remain with them. Even the wall dries, the pictures remain the same. That's the reason I may not tell directly, but indirectly, love for the environment, living simple way, truth has highest value. It may not pay you immediately, but in the wrong range it pays. You should have good ethical values. Okay. And money is not all in life. Those things I express whatever I want for children book in the form of stories. So children learn, but it's not, they don't get bored. For young adults, I want to tell them in life, please develop certain habits or hobbies which are useful to you than all the time video game, all these things. And more importantly, what is your passion? If possible, you recognize. Because many times people don't even recognize. For adults, I don't give anything. What I see, I write. Okay. But I don't want to make an explicit answer. These are the answers or these are the messages. No, because no one likes to be told by anybody, including my own dog. Gopi doesn't like if I tell him something, he says no. Okay, I go on his way and then I tell.
Right.
Okay.
Good. Those are good nuggets of advice for sure that we can all take from. Mrs. Murthy, here's a question. What is the first book that made you cry? And I don't mean a book you necessarily wrote yourself, but a book that you read, perhaps. Do you remember anything that affected you, made you cry?
Yeah. There are two books. One is The Men Who Shaped the Future. It had a lot of essays on people on invention. And other one is The Significant Sisters. Okay, it included Florence Nightingale, the woman who asked the custody of her children in London. Actually, it's English book, right? In Britain publication, divorce law. The young lady who advocated the birth control pills. Significant Sisters. Whenever I have read their struggle, I had tears because I felt it. Today, it is so easy. You go across the counter and ask for the across the counter family planning pills, you get it. But how much she was humiliated in public in those days. And she has to go from house to house, request them, and people will look at her, look down upon her. Or Florence Nightingale. Today, you become a nurse. If you want to become a nurse, you apply and get it. In her time, people with a bad character will become nurse, and how hard it was for her to say, with good character, with affluent family, people still can become nurse, because nursing is a great quality of compassion to other human beings. It was not easy for her. So the divorce case, there are so many are there. Significant Sisters. I have cried for each of their stories. So other one is The Men Who Shaped the Future. The man who found out the invention of the sewing machine and tire, the sulfur and the rubber combination will not burn. That is Firestone tire. How he found out, how difficult, penniless they were, but look at their passion and how much they suffered, and they died without becoming rich. Today, people sell sewing machines and they have become rich. People sell Firestone tires and they have become rich. They died penniless and harsh living. So I have cried like that when I was very, very young.
That's amazing. I haven't read either book, but I can certainly see that it would have affected you.
For a minute, I used to put my feet in their shoes and I would cry that children do not have money for food, and still you want to continue the experiment, and your wife is upset, and people look down upon you. You feel the importance of family planning pills, and people who throw stones at you, look down upon you, and the reason is right.
Yeah, is that why you said you should not be so sensitive? Sensitive people suffer a lot in life.
Yeah, they suffered a lot,
yes,
actually.
That is true. That is true. Are there any literary influences that you feel have affected your work over the years? I mean, did you read books and say, okay, this is what I want to do?
No. I read a lot, like all of you. I read a lot, and that is one of my happiest moments. I am with the book, and I grew up in a village where there was no electricity and radio in those days. So the only entertainment was reading books. So I grew up with reading books. Books are my integral part of my life and my culture. And I always, when I go to anybody's house, I always look at what library they have. And I judge depending on how good they are in their subject. Like, once I went to somebody's house and they served us food on a silver thali, but they did not have any books in their library. I said, Murty, how poor they are, That's the way how it was about 40 years back. It was my immediate reaction. So I'm inseparable from books, and good books really give me great happiness to read. But not anybody's book I felt, okay, I should write like this. No, I never felt.
Well, in today's COVID days, books allow you to travel with your imagination to other parts of the world as well, and to different influences, different thoughts. That's wonderful. Do you have any quirky habits as a writer that I know you told me you visualize the stories, you can even almost see the scenes, the frame, the pages in front of your eyes before you write. But do you have any routine? You know, you hear of writers who say that they need to be able to, you know, they have to wake up early in the morning and write for an hour before they go away. I've heard Vikram Seth has a big board in which he puts all the characters and different scenes on a board before he puts his book together. Do you have any kind of interesting quirk that you don't mind sharing with the readers?
Yeah, a few I will tell you. When I'm writing in Canada, I write shorthand. I learned shorthand in Canada. So I write with a pen and paper, I write shorthand. Because I always joke, my hands are I/O devices, my brain is CPU. So I said my CPU is faster than my I/O devices because the thoughts are so fast and my hands pain to write that fast because it will go away. So what I do in shorthand. That is on pen and with a pen and paper. When I write English, I write on computer. So I'm not that much worried in a sense it doesn't go that fast. That is one thing I do. English writing is different, Kannada writing is different. Second thing is, after writing a book, then I don't want to write another book in the same year. Normally, because I feel the character or that frame of mind will may continue, and the second book may look like first book. So I don't write. Though I have 3-4 books ready, but I told them that I wrote whenever I had time, you know. But I don't release more than 1 book per year. Okay, because it will affect my books.
For sure.
It will affect my books also, and it will affect the characters. It will be a projection of that or extrapolation of the previous one. I don't want to do. So if I write a children book 1, then I'll write an adult book or teenager book or something, so that I cut off from the children section at that moment. Like this year I wrote last year and this year together. I wrote a children book, How Grandparents Pass Off Stories. And then I wrote in between mythology. Then I wrote this simple book, How Earth Was Fought Today. So next year book will be ready with something else. Because I don't take 2 genres together. Okay, I don't do that. And
so you're already working on another book?
Yeah. My 3 books are ready actually, but I will do it only 1 per year. Okay. Okay, COVID time I could write little more actually, and I care for titles a lot. I'm not happy with the title, that way I have that. What the title should be, how the title should make, because ultimately I know you, though you are a good writer, your titles are so important to sell your books.
A good title.
Naturally. This I learned from I don't remember the author. From a very good person. Actually, I prefer English writers than American writers because I feel their methodology is better or their expression. I like it a lot more than that. And this was the English lady who has written, a Chinese lady who settled in England. She has written this 10,000 Miles Without a Cloud. Okay, and I just fell in love with the title and I read that, and it was a fantastic book. Then I realized if your book has a lot of stuff, but if you don't give the right title, then it will not sell. So right title, choosing a right title, and Shruti will not struggle, think over it. How does it look this way, this way, this way? Okay, so I experiment on Shruti experiments on me, that catching titles on that way. Third one is, I do get a writer's block, and sometimes I don't feel like writing, then I don't write at all. I don't push myself, I must write. I must finish this. No. There is a saying there is a Kannada poem which I always enjoyed as a child, which says, a free bird does not require royal patronage. Okay, that way, ideas are meant to be free. Don't freeze them just because you have to produce a book or just because there's a commercial advantage. No, I always respect ideas much more than a commercial advantage, and any rule that I should write this or I should not write. I just leave them free. And I always feel that is the freedom a writer should have. And all my characters will be on in my brain. There is no other way I write this character or board, or like what you described. For Vikram said, that is his way. For me, no, nothing. Only in the brain. All experience in the brain, all characters in the brain. And I go on downloading that in computer language.
You're just amazing and quite wonderful, and definitely inspiring to someone like me who's writing books as well. Is there a piece of practical advice that we can leave the audience with? Something, if somebody wants to start out as a writer, one line of wisdom from you, perhaps.
One line is hard, Shobhaji. I can tell them, you want to be a good writer, then you should be a good reader.
True. I've said that as well.
Second thing is, you should be sensitive enough to absorb all the atmosphere around you. Okay, if someone is happy, someone is sad, so you go for a marriage, you go for a funeral, you should go on absorbing the expression and the density of the environment where you are there, and that will definitely reflect in your book somewhere. If you are not absorbing time, then you can't write it well. Third thing is, don't be in a hurry to publish immediately. My first book I wrote and kept it for 3 months, and then I published it because it was my first book. I was not sure. Second thing is, just see after 3 months you feel the same way, then you can use it. Because if you feel it's drastically different even after 3 months, then it's a hodgepodge book. Then in that case, make it near perfect. I always told in all the interviews, for me, writing is like a weaving a piece of cloth. There will be thread, vertical and horizontal. And imagination is one thread, reality is another thread. I go on weaving. So that the day the cloth piece is ready, the reader will not understand which is imagination and which is real. That is the secret. For example, in House of Cards, I described a village called Aladahalli in Karnataka, 25 kilometers from my hometown, Hubli. You take a bus, get down at 25th kilometer stone and take a right turn and go and search. If you could walk 3 kilometers, there is the village. Many people have gone in search of that, but actually at 25th kilometer, there is no right turn at all. Okay? Okay? So I described my village in real life and imaginary of 25th kilometer. Okay? I feel this way of viewing makes very real. It's like money in the passbook and you can't withdraw. Like your parents have kept money on your name, but you don't have a checkbook with you. Okay? Or money in the mirror. You feel it, but it's not true. This is the way I always believed and I write or view.
Absolutely wonderful. I think we've run out of time, Mrs. Murty, but gosh, this is such a privilege. I've learned a lot as well. And I certainly hope that the readers have had, and the audience has had an opportunity to hear a few different responses from you. I know that, as I said, you are both familiar and cherished in India. This was a pleasure to me, and I'm sure a pleasure to the audience. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you so much for wonderful questions.